call the meeting to order. The Fort Scott Land Bank Board meeting, January 27th, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lisa, do you want to do the roll call for us, please?
Bailey Lyons,
I am here.
Matthew Wells, Don Tucker,
Yes.
Judy Earp,
Here.
Michael Hoyt.
Present.
Thank you. So do we have a quorum? We are good? Okay. All right. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting, which I believe was the meeting on December 16th, which we have in front of us. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as they're presented.
I'll move. We accept
I'll
the
second.
minutes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next up is old business. I'm going to turn it over to Pat on that.
At the last meeting, we discussed 416 South Burke. As you're well aware, we have filed an eviction proceeding regarding that property. For whatever it's worth, that hearing has been continued to February the 20th at my request until we figure all this out. But and at that meeting, the board asked me to get an opinion from counsel, from an attorney, as to whether indeed this property can be redeemed. So you have in front of you an opinion from Justin Meeks. Justin has done innumerable foreclosure actions over the course of the last several years, so in my opinion, he's quite familiar with the processes and the relevant law. So you can see his opinion, and the short and sweet of it is that Ms. Lowry's daughter could redeem this property upon payment of all taxes. All taxes, I mean, not just to 2016s, but up to date, in other words. So that is.
As well as accrued interest and.
With accrued interest, yes, ma'am, everything, that's exactly right. So that appears to be his opinion.
So Pat, his opinion stated that at the time of filing of the suit, Miss Lowry was about $6,000 in arrears.
6,100.
Yep. Does that,
That include.
is that what the,
Oh, no, it's going to be.
more than that?
Oh, yeah. it'll be
Okay.
more than that, 'cause-
Do we
because
have?
When we foreclosed,
You're 21, she was.
Right. Do we have the number that it would take for?
I don't. but I'll
Okay.
probably get
Or
that.
the specials?
It's going to be.
That's what, like the total? Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot higher. Well, again, we only, what did they foreclose through 2021?
Yes, it was.
2022, 2023?
It was 6,100 through,
So-
from 17 to 21.
Right,
So then he's stating that it would need to include delinquent taxes, interest, accrued interest and costs, including tax years 22, 23, and 24.
Right, plus interest, right?
Okay.
It's going to be quite a bit higher than
Okay,
that. I could have, maybe I should have ran the numbers. I
That's okay. Okay.
So then I guess where we go from here is we talk to Mikhail there and see what her temperature is on this and take it from there.
I'm confused as the redemption part, because would that mean it would go into her care then, because she's the one that's.
No, he did state in, have they seen this?
They have not seen that, no.
Okay. Is there any reason we can't
Oh, no,
share it with them?
I'll give her a copy of it. No.
Basically, it states, he references some state statutes referring to parent, grandparent, child, grandchild, spouse, sibling, etc., and says that that basically you as the daughter would be able to fall under that for redemption.
I think the intent of the law is that the state of Kansas wants to keep the property in the family name if at all possible. So that's why the right of redemption extends to children and that type of thing. Children.
It's like the person interested in the tract, including heirs, executors, administrators, that kind of thing. So it says on the second page, this would define the proposed purchaser, being you, as a person who had a statutory right to redeem. It says the intent of these laws is to protect the right of a Kansas homeowner to the use and enjoyment of his or her homestead. So the state has liberally allowed the right of redemption. But it sounds like our hands are tied to do anything from a price standpoint. It would be set at whatever all of the taxes, accrued interest, fees are. That would not be up to us to accept a bid. I think in the event that we got a bid from somebody that didn't fall under the statute of heirs or somebody that could fall under the right to redeem, then we can entertain a bid. But if it's somebody that falls under that right to redeem category, a family, then we cannot let go of the property for anything less than everything that was owed and accrued up to now.
That'd be my understanding of it, based on his opinion.
All right, I'm just.
Nope, you're fine. Something I might be able to tell.
Okay, so this is stating if I did pay that it would still go to me and not to my mother.
Oh, absolutely, yes, to you, that's right.
Am I able, do I have to make a decision on this right now? Just because I would like to confirm with my accountants?
Talk to the board.
Sorry, I'm looking up if I can tell what the amount is right now. I believe it's over $11,000.
That's just the taxes.
No, well,
They do include interest.
most of the time on here, it will show the specials, but probably not potentially not the interest, but there's a ton of specials.
When they did the auction, it was like 3,000.
Yeah, there's mowing, there's,
I will
okay.
also include the 2020 year, the mowing was when they had all those issues with the mowing being overdone and being charged extra. They did tell me that when I called in myself.
I mean, I couldn't speak to that, but it looks like definitely over 11,000. I was just trying to give you an idea.
Now, would that be, I have to have that up front, or am I,
Yes.
You'd have to work that out, the Bourbon County Treasurer, but that's.
Yeah, you'd have to write a check or bring a cashier's check, probably. Certified funds, yep, in one chunk.
I think the only latitude we may have is on the specials.
I don't think that we do.
Well, that we do, yeah.
Yeah.
The city does, actually.
But I don't know how much that was.
But can we go back?
I don't know.
I don't,
You mean back before the formation of this
Yeah.
board?
well, and before the actual tax sale and waive things, because,
I think we have a lot of latitude there. We'd have to get another legal opinion, but I believe we have latitude there.
But yeah, I mean, technically, the city has waived them.
Yeah.
Already, but once it came into our ownership.
right, but I think he's saying that we can't sell it for anything less than what's owed if she buys it. We do have the latitude if somebody else comes in and makes a bid, but if she buys it, she falls under the state statute, and we have, the way I read this, we have no wiggle room unless the exact dollars and cents are paid that are owed, because otherwise we're outside of where this falls with her being like family.
Say an opinion in two different spots.
A legal opinion is what we asked for, yes.
Yes. But,
That's pretty standard language.
Well.
Well,
it's
that,
been-
that's
it's
the
been
language in
researched.
this,
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, you,
It's a state statute.
you want to dispute it, you have every right to, but.
The only argument I would give her is this speaks only to property taxes. This does not speak to specials. So just throwing that out there, if you get a legal opinion that says you don't, that the city can waive the specials, then I think we should consider it, considering we're going to get somewhere close to $10,000 in taxes.
I would say that we get an exact dollar amount prorated to the day, because there's, and go from there, because we don't
really know.
know what's, itemized.
Well, but we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, no, that's between
between
her
her
and
and
the
the
Bourbon
county.
County
You can go to
treasurer.
the treasurer's office and get that.
I mean, the way I read this, she either goes to the treasurer's office and writes them a check and she redeems the property under these state statutes, or we own it in land bank and we consider other bids. I don't think we have the option to do anything else.
If she shows me receipt for paid taxes, then we can issue the deed.
But it's still gonna have to be recorded with new owner,
Oh, well, yeah.
all of that, so.
Pat would need a receipt showing paid in full, and then he would execute the deed.
And I would think a good deadline would be the day before the foreclosure, or the eviction.
That's fair.
Which is, remind me,
February 20th is when the hearing date is.
I think that as a land bank board, we've done, what we said we would do by getting an opinion. I don't think we need to incur the cost of another opinion. This is the opinion that we got. And I think that the state statutes read pretty clear here. But if you want to get another opinion, then you certainly would be welcome to at your own expense. But I think I feel comfortable with this opinion that we paid to get. I still don't think you would get clear title. Would she get clear title on the property, though?
She's going to get a quick claim deed.
You're gonna get a quick claim deed. Yeah, just a heads up on that.
That's a shame.
So, do I have permission to have time to think about it like this in the standard, or?
I think that we'll give you until the day before the February 19th, the day before the eviction date. And I would vote or put out that we don't entertain bids from other potential buyers during that time. But if we haven't come to a conclusion by February 20th, then I think we would have no choice but to move forward with the eviction and entertain bids from other people. But we can give you until February 19th. Okay. Thank you.
And Mikkel, you'll let me know what your game plan is, please? Okay.
Do we need any kind of we
You want to
don't,
put that in motion, give them that time, that deadline or anything?
yeah. You're just gonna put that in the minutes. We don't need to vote on anything, I don't think. Okay. Okay.
All right, new business, under new business, I'm required annually to provide a report to the city of Fort Scott, City Commission, and so you attached is my proposed annual report that, or I should say Bailey's proposed annual report. She has sign off on it.
This says the makeup of the board's changed as there's no longer a representative for the Bourbon County Commissioners or Ready. Was that something that, did I miss? I know I missed the last meeting. Was that discussed?
That's been several months ago.
I mean, I know Jim went off.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the city commission opted not to change the makeup of this board
Okay,
in 3 or 4 months ago, maybe 5.
okay.
I don't think we'd be opposed.
I think I missed that, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think we'd be opposed to having a member from the county back on the board, but I think Dylan's purpose was, we did not have the members to conduct business as the ordinance was written, and so the ordinance was changed to reflect the board as it is, so that business could continue to be done.
Makes sense.
Okay. Well, I love seeing that one home was constructed on one of the lots we sold and 2 are close to being constructed or in process. I mean, I think that that's the purpose of,
If you drive down National, they're laying, getting ready to lay a foundation on 1101
Right.
South National.
yep. And then, space for construction of an outdoor basketball court. I mean, so there's some positives there. 8 sold properties, so it took us a bit to kind of, I think I'm the only original board member left. But it took us a bit to get our wheels in motion but to me, we have a huge housing need in Fort Scott, and this is not going to solve that, but it's a part of that, and seeing numbers like that are a step in the right direction, in my opinion. And I will say that I appreciate Pat and all of his work that he's done. I guess I would, do we need to approve this annual report?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Move to approve the annual report.
Got a motion and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
I will sign it, and then y'all, this is my last meeting, so I will sign it on my way out the door.
So there must be some money hidden in here somewhere.
Which actually, I should have put this on the agenda, that Bailey's term has expired, will expire at the end of this month. And as I think you folks may have received an email from Lisa, that there's been interest shown by Heather Madison to sit on this board, of course, subject to approval of the city and all. So we are reaching out to her. I've talked to her way back when, because her letter of interest is tabled several months back. And I'll reach out to her again, see if she's still interested, and if so, I'll submit that to the city for their approval, and she'll be seated by next month.
She works at Union State Bank.
Yeah, she's a lending officer. If that's okay, if we proceed in that manner. So be it. Then finally, the only other item of business is not on this agenda, it should have been, and that's Bailey's resignation then. So, oh, I'm sorry, no, the other piece, we just talked about that, excuse me. The other piece of business was something Judy brought up at the last meeting about if we sell a piece of property, do we need to provide a disclosure statement and all? And you realtors know a heck of a lot more about it than I do. It's my understanding that Kansas doesn't mandates certain disclosures, but not a comprehensive disclosure and all. So the Board of Real Estate Agents in the state of Kansas has adopted a disclosure statement, and so I guess where we'd have to go from there is, do we want to abide by the recommendation of the Kansas Board of Realtors or the statute? The statutes are, I mean, they say you've got to advise them of radon, and you have to advise, I believe, that there's a sexual predator in the area, and then there's several other requirements about environmental hazards, that kind of thing, if they're known defects. So we're not really in a place where we have to worry about it because we haven't sold a house.
Right.
Yeah.
But at some point in time, yeah, we will. I'll need some guidance on that. So.
Well, for one, I think it would be hard for us to disclose any known defects having never owned or occupied the property. From a legality standpoint, if you wanted a disclosure and I was still on the board, I would mark haven't occupied the property and I would sign it. And if I knew something about it, then sure, but you're opening yourself up to a lot of liability, in my opinion, if you try to act like you know stuff about these properties.
And there's just certain things that are like lead and asbestos, if it's built before 78,
Then they sign a lead-based paint disclosure.
So there are some disclosures. But because we don't know anything about the property, I think that if it's a house or a building, that I think it would be a good idea as part of the purchase agreement that they have to have a professional home inspection.
I respectfully, completely disagree. It is not any of our business. I don't tell any of my buyers that they have to. I have a lot of buyers, I say, you're welcome to have a home inspection. It's recommended that you have a home inspection. Here are some home inspectors, but I can't even make my buyers that are spending $400,000 on a house do an inspection. And you want somebody to do that when they're spending $1,000? And respectfully, a lot of times they know that these places they're buying are crap. Like, have you seen an inspection report lately on a normal house? Because it's 50 pages. I mean, that's ridiculous in my opinion. That's completely ridiculous in my opinion. And I would like
for
to
the
know
most
if
part,
another land bank has done that, because to me, you're stepping, no. When you start acting like you know about the property and pushing an inspection on them, then you get sued. If you say, we acquired this by tax sale, I've never occupied the property, here's a disclosure where I simply marked, I've never occupied the property, I don't know anything about it. Hey, it was built before 1978, so you can sign this lead-based paint disclosure where I said I have no idea if it's there, but it could be. If you try to step into disclosing more than that on these properties, then you're gonna get sued, in my professional opinion.
And they're basically unenforceable. Even the home inspections are difficult to
Yeah.
enforce.
Well, they're usually limited to $500
Yeah,
damages.
and you
but
paid
still,
$1,000 for it.
I mean, it's always been although the properties were much more expensive than here, but
Inspections aren't standard. Inspections are not standard. They are a right of a buyer, and they're certainly recommended when you work with a real estate professional or a lender, but they're not standard and they're not required.
they're not
Not required in Kansas.
yeah, they are required.
No, they're not.
Some are.
If you're doing a USDA loan or an FHA or VA loan, you have a required loan inspection. But you're like veering off into, we're talking land bank properties that people are paying cash for. That, I mean, to me, I guess I'm glad this is my last meeting, because I think you're opening a can of worms that I don't want to be a part of. I think I think you're getting into,
Well, maybe we can table it until.
you guys can talk about it when I'm gone.
The problem arises, because at this point in time, I mean, the only structure I'll have, but maybe is this one here at 416 South Burke, so.
I think,
And
I think a
have one
lead-based paint disclosure is fine, and every lead-based paint disclosure I've ever seen has been marked that the seller has no knowledge of lead-based paint and no reports showing that there's lead-based paint there, but it advises the buyer, this property was built before 1978, so lead-based paint was allowed to be used, it could be there, proceed with caution. I think that that's fine, because that's standard, it's set to the year, but I mean, to impose a requirement that they get a home inspection, if you want to have Pat add something that says, well, I mean, I don't even know if we want to let people do a home inspection on something like this. I mean, are you going to give them an inspection period? Are you going to allow them to ask for renegotiations or back out? Because then you've turned down other bids to accept. I mean, it's very clear in our paperwork that it's an as-is sale.
As is, where is.
Yeah.
If it moves down the
So,
street.
I mean, you're gonna,
Really, there's no such thing as is, but
yes, there is.
you can, in a regular one, you have to disclose if you know that if you know there's something wrong, you must disclose it.
Right.
You have the right to refuse to fix it,
Right.
but just to say as is, now that is opening yourself up.
Well, as is does not negate your requirement to disclose, but there are as is sales all the time.
Right, but
What do you think our requirement as a land bank board to disclose? Let's say we end up with a house from the next tax sale and it's a beauty and we've never lived there and we've never owned it. What would you be able to disclose? without, like, you're not a contractor, you've never lived there, you've never owned the property, what would you know to be able to disclose? You have a legal obligation to disclose what you know about the property. So what would you know about a property that came over from a county tax sale that you've never owned, occupied, been inside?
Aren't you required, well, usually the seller's agent and the seller's required to make a final walkthrough, and anything that, it's like, I just know that I've sold millions of dollars worth of property, and there is no way that I would not cover myself with the disclosures. I mean,
I guess my question stands, what would you disclose as a land bank board who's never owned, occupied? You're talking from a real estate standpoint. Like, you're talking like it was listed on the open market by a seller who's either owned the property as an investor or has lived there at the property. This is not how this is a completely different
But you're
process.
still not exempt from it.
What would you disclose? You
Well,
can't
I'd have to
disclose something that
actually
you
look
don't
at-
know about the property.
You'd have to
And
look-
I'm not a contractor, so it's not my
I mean,
responsibility.
anything that's obvious, you have to disclose it. If you see a broken window walking through, you have to disclose it. If you see a cracked tile, stains in the carpet,
And I
No.
can- I
Water
can under-
stains.
I can
It's
completely
material
understand if you're looking to
defects.
Make a profit, or if it's something that had
But
been
they
owned by
don't-
somebody else, but
I know.
I'm
but-
gonna have to check with Bob on the legality of whether or not a municipality would even be required to follow those same guidelines that a realty firm would be following, because we're not looking to make. a
Judy,
profit.
I'm just gonna say,
just-
I'm imagining these houses that are coming over from tax sale.
I know.
You really want us to walk through and disclose every stain on the carpet or broken window? These are, most of the time,
Are not-
junk
Yeah.
that are not even inhabitable, that we're selling for $1,000 or less. I mean,
Those are exactly the ones you need to cover yourself with.
But
no, you are opening yourself up to more liability. Say you miss, and I don't agree with what you're saying to state on the record, but say you miss a stain on the carpet or a broken window, and by the way, those are cosmetic. The disclosure requirements are material defects, not a stain on but anyway, I think what you are saying would open this board up to more liability than saying we've never owned or occupied the property. We don't have any requirement right now as a land bank board to go walk through these properties that we're selling even. We have no obligation to go, and I'm not a contractor, I'm not an inspector, I'm not an engineer, and I'm not gonna give an opinion on foundation, roof. Like, that's just opening yourself up to so much more liability.
That's why you.
I don't want to dupe anybody, but I feel like the paperwork is set out to say,
You always on there recommend inspection by a professional
Right.
inspector.
absolutely.
It's,
Judy, the statute I have in front of me, and it basically says that there are minimum requirements of a seller's or a landlord's agent. We're not gonna be using an agent, either, so I don't know that, I don't know that
I
this
think it's
devolves upon us
still-
either.
Yeah.
You're not, it's not maybe a bad policy, is what you're basically saying, but it may not be a practical policy, just based
I'm
upon what
just
we
not
have.
sure
here.
about that, because the only people that are exempt, because we ran into it with all the REOs. I mean, in some towns, every other house was an REO. And banks are the only ones that are exempt from disclosures.
In a foreclosure situation, which I would say would be very similar to this coming over from a tax sale. Are you licensed in Kansas?
Not in Kansas.
Okay, I am.
Federal laws.
Yeah, but
Well-
again, I fall back on the fact that we're a municipality.
Yeah.
So we fall under a completely different set of rules. So first of all, I'm going to have a conversation with our lawyer on even the legality of even proposing that we do a disclosure, because from my understanding, as a municipality, we can't legally do that, even if it's something that would be
I would get an
required.
opinion then from
Right.
an actual real estate attorney.
Well, no, a real estate attorney won't matter to the city. I understand your concerns and what you're saying. It
Because
makes
these are
100%
like-
sense. But again, we're not a real estate agent. We're not trying to make a
Of course we're
profit.
not.
We are a municipality.
How
And
How
so-
about if I do this?
Yep.
How about if I go ahead and reach out to other land bank trusts and see if they've encountered this situation?
That was gonna.
I will tell you, I've been to almost every meeting in the state of Kansas on land banks in the last few years, and they're not giving a disclosure statement.
Yeah, I don't
I think you get into really muddy, cloudy
I
territory when
personally
you
think
try
it's
to
a
treat
thing
this.
To do, but if you don't want to do it, it's fine with me, but
Well,
I don't think
I don't
you're
think it's
exempt
legal.
from-
I don't think it's legal for us as a municipality to do it.
I just don't think you're like really thinking through how it
Why
would
I'm
work.
thinking through, I have seen many lawsuits, the very first thing they do is look for the disclosure.
In a situation where there is a realtor and a seller,
Yes.
A buyer and a seller.
yeah, but this buyer knows that they're buying from a land bank, part of a municipality. There are not realtors involved. There are not sellers who have occupied the property or even owned the property to know, yeah, I put on a new roof here, or I paid a plumber because there was a leak
It's easy to
here.
find that because you just go to the city and look at what permits have been pulled.
Not necessarily. Nope, nope. That's actually a disaster here in Fort Scott, and you do not have to pull permits if, for a lot of things, you don't have to pull permits if you did the work yourself on the
Nobody pulls
property.
permits, None of the contractors are
Nope.
required to carry any license. I mean, they do build houses around here, nobody pulls any permits, does any inspections, there's no foundations, no pre-sheet rock, no electrical inspections, none of that's being done right now.
We're
I-
not, we're not overregulated and litigious like they are in California.
I feel like as an active realtor here, I feel like I should note that I am all for disclosures.
To you, they will be. You know.
I think, I mean, absolutely, I stress to my sellers the importance of full disclosures. If I know anything, even if my sellers didn't want me to tell somebody, I absolutely have to disclose. I recommend to all my buyers that they get a home inspection and that they know their rights in doing so. But respectfully, this is a completely different situation than a home that's being listed on the open market with a realtor, a seller, a buyer, a client relationship, representation agreements. Like, this is completely different.
All I'm saying is disclosures are required on all real estate transactions, and the only exception are banks.
I don't think you're correct, but
It's a federal thing.
I understand it's a federal thing, but I do not believe that that's the way it is in the state of Kansas. There's a lot of federal laws that don't apparently apply anywhere in the state of Kansas. You can't own a fully automatic weapon federally, but guys in Kansas own fully automatic weapons. You can't have a suppressor federally, but guys in Kansas have
There's-
suppressors and open carry them when they're going into the grocery
Just because
store.
they do it doesn't make it.
I'm not saying that, but I will need a legal answer from our city lawyer first, and we'll have Lisa look into the legality of whether any other land banks, because
I will also
people
note,
I've talked to,
yeah.
I know they don't disclose
No.
anything on any properties.
no, actually never heard of one that did in Kansas. But I will note also that we being everybody who's been on this board before, we have tried to utilize other land banks. 30 miles south, there's pretty much the model land bank for the state of Kansas. She's a major resource. And aside from, I mean, get all the legal opinions you want, but we're gonna rack up quite the bills getting legal opinions every meeting. I think it'd be great if Lisa could check around with other land banks, but, I mean, good luck finding, board members that are going to put their name on a disclosure for a property that they've never walked through, owned. Good luck finding a board member. I wouldn't serve on this board if that was required. Would you? You are going to hold yourself legally liable for disclosure, aside from a lead-based paint disclosure, on a property that you have never,
If it came down to that, I would seek a legal opinion.
on every property. So we're already upside down on
I
these.
only need one. I would, if I had to be liable for it by signing it, I would personally, for my own self, seek a legal opinion first.
Well, We haven't crossed that bridge yet, actually.
Why
There's a-
don't
there's a
we,
good chapter this
why don't we
book
go
on 6 that says we don't
this-
have to do anything.
Yeah.
the land bank that you said was a model?
Yeah, talk to Deanna Goings in
Why don't we
Pittsburgh.
go ask them? They may have already gone through this before.
They don't disclose, and I've actually sat in meetings where they say land banks don't have to disclose, but you guys, like I said, it's not my deal anymore, and if it was, I wouldn't,
They may have already said a legal, found out the legal.
yep.
aspect.
I'm sure they did. I'm absolutely positive that she has. Yeah.
So I don't have any other business other than, when do we have our next meeting? Because I guess, will the city be closed on, was it President's Day, whatever day it was? Yes. Okay, so should we have the meeting then on 24th of February? February 17th is President's Day.
Do we need to figure out another chairperson?
Well, that's up to you guys. I didn't know if you wanted to wait until we filled that fifth position or not. I don't know.
Madam Chairman, I do have something that I would like to bring to the board and ask for some guidance on. There's a property over on Wall Street, 313 West Wall, that was scheduled for demolition. It's one of the historic homes. I've had some contractors show some interest in that home. I had checked with a couple of land banks who have pushed for getting contractors to restore historic homes before they get demoed in other towns. They've been extremely successful. They offer a tax grant rebate basically to the homeowner. So this particular property, the homeowner owes like $9,000 in back taxes already. If we demo the house, they're going to end up owing another $5,000 to $7,000 because of the demolition cost. So they're going to be at $17,000 to $20,000 they're going to owe the city on the home.
On an empty lot at that point.
On an empty lot at that point, yes. It's a beautiful historic home. So want to know, I don't think this is anything this land bank has ever tried to do or taken on before. It appears that 416 Burke may be the first property that y'all try to take on that has a home standing on it. So my questions are, is the land bank willing to facilitate trying to take the property on from this lady if she's willing to donate it, to grant the tax rebates through the city, to release her of her tax burden in order to get the property? And then can we turn around and then give said property to a contractor with stipulations of patch the roof by 120 days, within 2 years, show forward progress on saving the home, those kind of stipulations?
You making a motion?
Well, what kind of
think-
deed will we have?
Oh, well.
She would just quit claim deed it
Yeah,
over.
well, I'd probably want a warranty from her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's see if we could get the owner to give us a warranty deed, then it's
Pretty
an
easy
endeavor worth.
Well, then you could get clear title, so then that contractor could, if they're looking to flip it, they could,
Right.
I would think,
they could
though,
sell it.
I would think we might want a title pin, make sure there's no other
Liens.
encumbrances on the property before we assume that.
Is, are you proposing to just give the property to the contractor?
No, you'd have to open it up for bid.
That's what he said, give. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
wondering.
In the donation agreement, they would sign over the deed.
They would sign over the deed
Yeah.
to the land.
So we would have clear title to it.
No, and then we could, as the land bank, that's entirely up to the board whether or not, I mean, I've not been a part of the land bank before, so you'll have to forgive me. I'm going to have some on-the-job learning on how all of this works. But as opposed to tear down some of these homes,
Right, I'm all for selling it,
Yeah.
but just what I'm saying is you said that we would give it to the contractor. So I'm just.
You
getting
mean
some
we would eventually deed it over to the contractor, but you would
Yeah.
open it up for a bid
Whether we
process, and
open
if
it up
it does have clear title, then it's worth more, which is the stance we've taken with lots and,
Well, we sell it to the contractor and
Yeah.
our end is, we can put deed restrictions
Yeah.
that they have to.
well, and it doesn't, I will note, it wouldn't have to be a contractor. It could be somebody
No,
else that shows us the proof of, funds to be able to do that, but then Pat would execute a development agreement, just like any other. It would just be something that needed voted on. We have had a few people offer to donate properties to the land bank. I think we accepted one or two, we declined. We said thanks but no thanks on a few that were going to be way, they were going to cost us more, and we didn't feel confident that we would be able to get any kind of a return on them. But, I mean, I don't see anything in that process that would be,
How about if I negotiate with whoever, or I get the details from whoever is the owner, present owner now, and I can bring back to the board next month? Is the city ready to pull the trigger on raising the property?
They were ready to demo it in December, and I asked for them to delay that so that I could reach out to a few contractors to see if anyone was even interested in trying to save the property. Had a few go and take a look at it. One of them says it absolutely is worth saving. He doesn't have the time to do it within the next year. So if that stipulation is that it has to be done within a year, he has to pass on it. The two other contractors would love to see about saving the home. Again, they're not sure yet about the timeline, depending on what stipulations we would have to put on it. And I have to get an answer back to the city commission at the next meeting, or they're gonna go ahead and have the house torn down. It's 313 West Wall. Anybody wants to go and take a look at it?
323.
323, sorry. Yeah, 323.
I think
West.
our timeline ranges so far for the development agreements that we've done for people that were buying a lot and building a house have been, between 12 and 24 months?
Yeah, and that's what, I thought those same stipulations would probably apply in something like this. But I'm sure, my thing is, I watch as homes that I believe could easily be restored, get torn down, and then we just have an empty lot, which is excellent if we can sell all these empty lots. But if there's the possibility of someone being able to rehab that home and then get somebody back into that home quicker, then we get a higher tax return for the citizens, and we get an additional home done in a quicker timeline, because not everyone can afford a brand-new $200,000 home or even a $150,000 home. But if we can provide some medium to low-income housing between that $60,000 to $100,000 range, that might be possible by restoring some of these homes that we're fixing to tear down, that would be my thought process behind asking you guys.
That's our mission, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I agree, and the bigger thing there is beating it to tax sale, so to speak, is the current owner being willing to execute the proper deeds, getting a clear title search from the title company to make sure she doesn't have, I mean,
Goes to
even if she
sheriff's
doesn't
sale.
have even if she doesn't have a mortgage, there can be, credit cards can get filed against property, child support can get filed against property. So even if somebody tells you, I don't have a mortgage, that doesn't mean they have a clear title. So, but if all those things check out and you can beat it to what we assume is eventually it going to tax sale, then you get clear title, which opens up for your potential developers and even your homeowners, because even without clear title, nobody in their right mind is going to go put $50,000 into a property that somebody can come back and say, oh, I have claim to that, So the beating it, I mean, we've talked about that ever since I've been on this board. If there's any options to kind of be preemptive in beating something to tax sale, if there's a known owner who's willing to deed it over, then that's a win-win for everybody. Developers, the land bank, potential buyers, everybody.
This one would be a beat of it being torn down.
Yeah.
Because they're not even gonna let it go.
But even
to
if they
tax
tear it
sale.
down and they give us clear title.
Yeah, we at least have a lot with clear title.
That's true, if we have clear title,
I mean, I would love to see the house sold, but a lot with clear title opens up for a new home to be built there, which again, save the house. Like if it's savable, save the house. But a lot with clear title is better than a lot without.
That's why I would like to see the stack of properties that were handed over by Justin on his last day, 12/31. I would like to go through those and see which ones maybe we can get clear title to. It's beat them to the tax sale. And promote them to your developers or individuals that would want to fix them up. Or maybe there's some in there that are just empty lots that we could get clear title to.
So, what do you want me to do then? I mean, I'll get hold of these folks and all, but somehow we have to hold the city of commission off on this thing,
Right,
so.
well, if I can, first I had to find out if it was possible. And so I had to wait till we had a meeting That was my reason in asking them to hold off till the beginning of next month.
Next month.
So that I could see if it was even possible, to see if that was something the land bank was willing to do on trying to do something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I know that's possible, we can reach out to the lady that owns the home. I'll give her a call and I'll get the information to
Great.
you as well.
Please.
I hadn't reached out to her yet because, again, I wanted to see if the land bank was willing to do that. Because one of the other land banks that I had reached out to, that's how they were able to save some historic homes, is they basically gave a tax grant rebate through the city and released the homeowner from the back taxes on the home. And then because the city was willing to do that, then they were willing to sign over the property if they didn't know the back taxes on the home anymore. Then they get a free and clear walk away from something that apparently they don't want to save anyway or own because they're not paying the taxes on it.
Maybe I
as
should
it
write a,
sits.
article for Tribune to that effect, about the benefits of donating to us. I'll work on that.
Okay, yes, sir.
Preemptive strike to get a,
Do,
I'm sorry, sir?
it's a preemptive strike to get a warranty
Yeah,
deed.
very good.
does the city unilaterally waive taxes like that, though? I mean, I know the taxes get waived, right, but for what he's saying, would that be something that would have to be addressed on a case-by-case basis? I
That's-
know they get waived when they come over via tax sale, but,
That is the way that is the way this one land bank had done it. The land bank is the one that proposes it. So they voted on a case by.
yeah, it has to go through land bank to be able to legally waive the taxes. But what I'm saying is, the agreement that was made, my understanding when we started all this was the agreement that was made with the county was that, you know, when those properties that didn't sell at tax sale came over to land bank, that, you know, that would basically be a clean slate.
It's statutory.
You're right. But what I don't know is if they don't come over via tax sale, I think you can waive them statutorily, but I don't know that it would be like a blanket.
I think it's statutorily, they're required to waive them. And then I think I have to take all the stuff up to the Board of Tax Appeals, and then they write off to sign off on it. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to be an issue.
Excellent, so.
I think that's great.
One question for this evening.
All right, so we're going to meet on the 24th of February then? Okay. And the only final business I think we should conduct is thank Bailey for her years of service. She is an original member of this board. She was instrumental in even getting this body together, so we appreciate that, and we wish you the finest.
Thank you.
You sure you don't want to stay on?
I'm good. What have I been, 2.5? I think my original term was
Yeah, it's expired last year.
2 years. I expired last year. I agreed to stay on until now.
Well, you're
But-
wearing it well.
Thank you. No, I've enjoyed it. I do see a need for land bank here in Fort Scott. We obviously have a housing shortage in a number of ways, so I think this is a small piece of that. And if, you know, we can get the word out and accept some more properties that can be saved or can get clear title, I think then that becomes a bigger piece of the puzzle. But I also believe boards should turn over and have new ideas and opinions, and I've given plenty of mine. So it's been nice to serve with you all for a short period of time. I know Heather, she would be a wonderful addition, and I wish you all well. And I think Pat, because he's been here pretty much from the beginning with me too, and he's been wonderful to work with. So
May I ask one other question?
yes.
I apologize, but right now I'm driving a bus for the school system, which will not allow me to be here at y'all's 4 or 4:30 start time. Is there anyone else that has a problem with moving the meetings for right now to 5 o'clock? Is that an issue?
Just that Monday is my 5:30 stirred up at the county day.
We don't want to, yeah, well, hopefully we,
Would hate to interfere with that.
I just wanted to ask that question formally. So, thank you.
I mean, is it carved in stone that we have to meet on Mondays for that matter?
Yeah, whatever works. We'll make it work.
5 o'clock then?
If there is nothing else for the good of the order, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move adjourn.
I've got a motion.
Opposed,
Second.
stay seated.
Yeah, if you're opposed, you can hang out here all you want. Thank you.